Haunted Michigan. Terrifying Tales.
Welcome to this episode of Haunted Michigan. I'm your host, Meltdown. This time around, we head to Monroe, Michigan, and talk with Nate Thompson. Nate's the owner and proprietor of the Museum of Horror, and now he's expanding to late-night haunted walks, as well as crazy escape rooms that he's planning on opening in the fall. This and much, much more with Nate Thompson on this episode of Haunted Michigan. And we welcome in Nate Thompson. Nate, how are you, my friend?
I am doing well, sir. How are you?
I'm great. Have a good time at what's it? Uncle Sam Jam. I was thinking Arts Beats these, but yeah, Uncle Sam Jam. I saw you.
Dude, that ripped, man. I love seeing Jack. That was the first time I got to see him live, and yeah, definitely worth it.
I didn't mislead you, did I? I told you you're gonna love him.
Yeah. No, you were right.
And then Jesse brings me up on stage. Were you there for the chainsaw?
Oh yeah, I had to be there for the chainsaw. I wasn't leaving until I seen it.
There you go. Well, you have a lot of things happening down in Monroe. First of all, for people that don't know, you have this really cool place called the Museum of Horror. Tell everybody who's never been there before what that's all about.
Yep. So the Museum of Horror, it's Michigan's first two-story year-round annual horror museum. Basically, it plays off not only the horror in terms of like theater and movie memorabilia, but also real-life horror. So human bones, serial killers, different like true crime artifacts, stuff like that. But it's pretty much a place that if you're into the weird, unusual, or creepy, it's a must-see.
Yeah, and the second story has pretty much stuff from funerals gone by in the past and everything, doesn't it?
Yep. So we had a funeral exhibit. We still have some funeral items up here. We're actually getting ready to do a huge mural upstairs, and then we're bringing in some more movie artifacts. So things are going to be constantly changing. Every 6 months, I hope to have at least some sort of new exhibit cycled in and cycled out. Yeah,
so where are you getting these exhibits from? People put them on loan to you?
You can. I haven't really recently like on loan. Most of it's just like buying artifacts myself, or like going to like different prop auctions and just purchasing them, and then like kind of building the exhibit from there. You get people that donate stuff to you too. Usually that's haunted things, like hey, this is a haunted mirror. I don't want this anymore. And I'm like, oh great, I guess I'll take it.
Hey, yeah, you're putting all these haunted things into one place, like that Ouija board you have. Would you say that's the most haunted thing you have, or the thing with the best story?
Yeah, I would say that's the thing that I'm most, I guess fearful of. I guess would be the right
protective of.
Yeah, because the witch that donated it to me, she didn't ask for any money. She didn't ask for any recognition. She didn't ask for, not even a picture. She just said, the only thing I ask of is if anybody breaks that seal, that it's not my responsibility. It's not my fault what happens after that. So her telling me that, kind of played in my head, like she's 100% like intentful on that. Like she means what she says. So, whatever happened with that board, man, I'm gonna leave that seal there.
Yeah, right. And so then, of course, you have that special room as well where you can walk. You go through the I don't know what that is, the body bag.
Yeah. Yep. So that's a real body bag you walk through, and that's the red room. That is the most graphic and goriest photos you've ever seen in your entire life, guaranteed. So it's a pretty over the top room there, but people love it, and it seems to be a good attraction point.
Now you're a horror movie fan yourself. I just went and saw Insidious: The Red Door the other day.
Yeah.
And I was a little bit skeptical because it was PG-13. And I'm like, do I want to go see this? But I did. And there was one scene, a jump scare that got me. And my stepdaughter said, yeah, your legs flew off the chair, which is true. You're up on the recliner and stuff, and my legs went like that.
Yeah.
It did get me.
Dude, one thing that they did extremely well, because I haven't seen the actual movie yet, but one thing that they have done extremely well, and this goes without saying, but is the promotion aspect. All the marketing that they did with actually having like the red door in certain places around, and you would open it up and jump scares, and that's very clever. They did a really good job on that.
Yeah. And then Terrifier 3 is coming out. I liked the Terrifier movies so far; those are pretty good. What are some of your favorites? Yeah,
brutal. Yeah. I love. I'm a fan of the classics that kind of like got me inspired on everything. Like Return of the Living Dead, Creep Show. Creep Show did come out with kind of like not necessarily a remake, but like an addition to where they made it into a series. I believe it was on Shudder. That was pretty good. And I think recently, oh, I haven't seen it yet, but the trailer for it, The Pope's Exorcist. That
Yeah, I
looks
saw
like
that. Yeah,
at least from the trailer, it looks like it'd be pretty gnarly.
maybe I didn't see that one. I saw a different one now that just came on, and I see so many of them. I get them confused. The
Yeah.
Evil Dead movie, the latest one, is really good.
Yes, that's what I haven't seen that one yet either, but that's what everyone says is like that was like maybe even one of the best of the whole series.
Yeah.
Which is very hard to do to kind of like make something newer that kind of competes or does better than the originals.
Yeah, and then I met at the Astronomicon, I met Bonnie, who plays the nun, and the new nun is coming out in September. So so that's pretty cool. Tell us real fast about that. You make some short movies yourself, some short films, right?
Yeah. Yep. So for the last 2 years, I've been making horror short films. That's kind of how this all started was, we would sell out the local theater here, and we just sold so many tickets that at some point we were like, wow, this is seems like there's a horror market, right here around Monroe. And it's almost like they kind of need like a horror store or a museum, and then they would just kind of got on the track, and then I opened up a store. But yeah, man, we've been making horror films. We kind of like to do it right here in Monroe, kind of cast everybody that's as close to Monroe as possible. We'll get outside casting, of course, too. But it's just nice when we can have at least some cast that is kind of local to Monroe. And then, we just kind of premiere them at the local theater here. And then we put them on our website or on YouTube. But we're going to get ready to film another one here. And I think we're going to probably make this one a full feature or a little bit longer than the short films that we've had before.
How many have you done so far?
6 in total.
Okay.
So the 7th one we start working on.
Okay, excellent. We'll have to include those in the story here. So you just mentioned that people in Monroe kind of looking for a little bit of the scarier, darker side. So you've got this haunted walking tours. When did this start?
So this started about 4 weeks ago. This was actually a original idea I had where I was like, well, it'd be nice if we can take people around on buses and have bus tours, kind of like the old like if you were to go to LA and get a tour of like the famous locations, and you'd be on a double-decker bus. Well, that's still in play. I still want to do that, but the bus tour. But until we can find multiple buses and figure out parking for the buses and where we're gonna, have all that in downtown, what can we do to make that idea happen? Still, and that's kind of where I was like, well, we can do haunted walking tours, and we had original times in the day, but it was just getting to where it was like so hot and so unbearable to walk throughout the heat that we were like, all right, we'll just do them at 10 o'clock. They'll be every Saturday at 10 o'clock. And it's a good time, man. We have a bunch of people meet up out front of the museum. And then, of course, the tour guide, that is one of the best. His name is Zachary, but he's one of the best tour guides I've literally probably in the game today. I'll be honest with you. And it's just, I've been on the walking tour twice already. I'm going to go next week. It's so amusing to see him kind of have these mannerisms and these little like catchphrases to go along with the tour. It brings it all in. And, you are going throughout real haunted places in Monroe, places where, people have seen ghost sightings, had things happen to them, places where people have been murdered. We keep it tasteful, but at the same time, we definitely keep it spooky.
Now, where do you find Zach, and who does all the research for all the stuff that you will point out during this tour?
So I do all the research myself on this. It's strenuous, but I want to make sure that it's not only legit and by, like verbatim from the actual accounts, but I want to make sure that it's entertaining for people too. But finding Zach, man, and, finding other tour guides and people in general, it's difficult because not everyone is capable of really, doing that. It takes a special type of presentation and like almost like a theater lover to be able to get up there and to perform like that. And I think he came to me one day by a referral from a friend, and I ended up they were like, hey, this guy will do your tour guides and he'll show up in a suit. And I'm like, wait a minute, suit? And then I ended up checking him out, and it was like this like dead like haunted mansion style suit, and I'm like, oh, this guy's got it.
So how many people are going each group every Saturday?
So we've been having about 50 plus each time, and it's getting to where they're larger groups. So what I'm working on now currently is I'm building a second route. So you'll still be able to go on the route 1, but there will also be a route 2 that you can choose. So if you're a returning, customer and you've already been on the first one, you can go on the second one. But this will also help groups kind of be limited to maybe 25 or less at a time, because we have some people that say they really would like a more intimate,
Right.
situation. But at the same time, people love that there's a bunch of people around. So we've kind of been looking at about 50 plus each weekend. So I'm gonna probably break it into 2 there. That way people can enjoy it, have some elbow room.
And this is the first year you're doing this.
Yeah. Yep. This is the first month, really. Yeah.
So give me like 1 or 2 of the stops. Like what would people experience without giving away too much? But like what are some of the stops that they'd see?
So one stop that they would see, or that you could possibly see on one of the tours, is there's a water fountain downtown here, right in downtown Monroe, across the street from the Monroe courthouse. And back in the 90s, basically when they were actually building the like the foundation, like the land for the fountain to go into, they dug a hole and they found 2 Native American skeletons buried face down. So just like, any good horror story starts, what they do, well, they left them there, and then they continued to bury the fountain, or to build the fountain on top of it. So still to this day, people and kids and families are throwing quarters in there, having fun. And right on the side of the fountain, it mentions that there's, 2 human remains, just, mere feet just below there. And nobody knows about that. Plaque's been on the side of that fountain, but it's in a way to where nobody sees it. Nobody knows about it. Another stop would be, I won't say too much about the backstory about this, but we'll take them through old graveyards. So there's multiple graveyards that we can choose from, that each one has their own story and different accounts of like paranormal sightings. So at some point during the tour, you're walked through a graveyard, you can kind of see the headstones, and this is all at nighttime too.
Yeah.
And these tours, these are just going to get crazy as time goes, because I really have a plan that I'm hoping at some point that we can actually get into some of these buildings. So we'll be walking through late at night, and there will be somebody to let us into these buildings, do a little ghost hunt at some point, and leave, go to the next building, and so on and so forth. Either that, or we just get a bunch of scooters, and there's just 50 people flying on scooters.
Like a motorcycle gang or something,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So how long is this walk from start to finish for people that want to do this?
So it's about an hour long and about 1.5 miles altogether in walking.
Okay. And let's see, my friends from Detroit Paranormal Expeditions, you know those guys, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Good guys.
Yeah, they've told me a lot of stuff. So Monroe is like kind of a battlefield ground. So a lot of death happened there. And there's a lot of stories that come out of that area right there. Am I remiss in recollecting the story about there's like a grain silo or something down there?
Yeah, well, I mean, there is a few, and then I believe there was one that even got taken down back in the day too.
Well, I heard that there was some entity that was there, and it was always popping up, and there was a lot of stories around it. Maybe I'm thinking of something else, but it was something down in that area. But on these tours so far, has anyone witnessed anything or felt anything?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep. So I had some people send me pictures of the museum window, and I won't say how the museum comes into play with the tour, but it does. But they've had sent me pictures of the second floor and the third floor of the museum window. I won't say what they caught yet because we're compiling it. We're going to put it in a post. But
okay.
We've also had people in the graveyard that have caught orbs. Some people have said they felt like getting touched. And me personally, I just think it's a killer time. It's a cool way to spend at least an hour on a Saturday. Hell, go walk around and hang out for a little bit. And people dig it. I dig it, man.
I got to make it down there because I got to. My Saturdays are full right now, but I will definitely. When does this go until?
It's gonna go all summer and all fall long. It's really as soon as I see snow for the first time, that's when we're gonna cut it.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely be down there for a Saturday night. And also this coming Saturday, you got the Haunted Heat Fest. That's a wrestling thing, right?
Yeah. So on the 22nd, that Saturday, we're going to do, it's like a horror show too. We're going to have a bunch of horror vendors, different Halloween vendors scattered throughout the building and throughout the backyard. We'll have food trucks. But, you know, with any good festival or any good show, especially that I'm a part of, I want it to be wicked and cool. So I'm like, well, what would be cooler than have a couple of guys smack each other in the head with steel chairs? So we're going to have that set up too for people to see and hang out with. And, you know, it's just going to be a good way to, again, spend a Saturday.
I get down there for the IWR wrestling matches. Do you ever get down there and see them?
I love those guys. Gary, Gary, the guy that
I know Gary very well, yeah.
Great guy. He's actually what I attribute. He's like my mentor behind all the festivals and the guy that I confide into for questions. So I owe a lot to Gary. He's a good guy, and I love IWR.
Yeah, Gary's fantastic. Rhino and I go back way back, as a matter of fact. So people can sign up, do this haunted walking tour Saturdays throughout the summer and through the fall. And then you're working on something else, which is even, I don't know if I want to say stranger, but it's strange for sure. An escape room it's an image of Jeffrey Dahmer's apartment.
Yeah. Yep. So it's called Haunted. Basically it's a escape room, horror escape room experience, and a very immersive experience. So one of the rooms that we have there is Dahmer's apartment. So basically you're set up in a serial killer's apartment, and you have to figure out how to get out before something bad happens. And then the room next to that one where you have set up is going to be Poe's Raven Room. So basically it's like a black and purple room. It's very Poe inspired. And all the puzzle pieces will basically play into the theme of the room.
Gotcha.
So then the other one will be the morgue. And then you can kind of see the theme of this. It's very, very creepy and weird, but it goes great with the people that like to come to the museum.
And when do you think you might have those up and running?
I want to have that up before Halloween. That's my goal. I'm working with the city right now. Basically, we just want to make sure that everything's built, not only up to code, but also that the fire department checks off on everything before we even try to do anything. That way there's no headaches in the future. But once that's done, we already got things set up and ready to go to get building. So we're just waiting for that and hoping before Halloween.
Yeah. Is there other escape rooms like this around the country?
I'm sure there are. I haven't checked really necessarily to see. But yeah, I'm sure that, with being the escape rooms, there's got to be some that are horror inspired, and I would like to go to them.
Yeah, for sure. I've only done one and I didn't get out. So I'm lucky. Yeah. I'm lucky to be here talking to you.
The WRIF escape room.
That's right. Yes. There. Yeah, there you go. That's a great idea. Well, haunted walking tours through Monroe happens, like I said, Saturdays till the snow flies, according to Nate. And then, of course, the Haunted Heat Fest and the Museum of Horror, which I've been to on a couple different occasions. Really cool place down there in Monroe. Nate, good luck with everything. We really appreciate your time, and we'll see you somewhere down the road.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you so much, man.
Once again, a big thank you to Nate Thompson for taking the time out to tell us everything he's got going on down in Monroe, Michigan. Of course, you can check out the description of this show for links and more to the Museum of Horror, the Haunted Walks, and everything else. And thank you guys for checking out this episode of Haunted Michigan.